They said first impressions matter. And if that was true, then Thomas Reed's first impression was being mistaken for a trespasser. On a warm Thursday morning, Thomas stood at the entrance of one of the tallest buildings in the city. A towering monument of glass and steel that sparkled in the sunlight like a monument to power. He had never been inside a skyscraper before. The kind of places men like him passed by, never into. But today was different. Today he had an appointment. Clutching an old, worn leather folder against his chest, he stepped inside the lobby. The air was cool, artificially so, and everything smelled of polish and professionalism. Thomas adjusted his shirt, ironed though a bit outdated, and walked toward the security checkpoint. And then it happened. ID, the security guard's voice was curt. Not a greeting, not a question, a command. Thomas blinked. Yes, of course, he said, setting his folder down and digging into his back pocket. I have an appointment at Devlin and Chase. Withy. I didn't ask where you're going. I asked for your ID, the guard interrupted, his hand resting firmly on his belt. Thomas hesitated. His wallet, he had it this morning. He was sure of it. But when he reached deeper into his pockets, patted his shirt, and looked into the folder, a cold realization washed over him. It was gone. I think I must have left it in the cab, he said, his voice low. The guard folded his arms. Convenient. You expect me to just let you walk in here with no identification? I'm not here to cause trouble, Thomas said. I swear. I have documents. My name's Thomas Reed. I have an appointment. You don't belong here, the guard snapped. Turn around. People began to glance in their direction. A woman by the elevator looked on with disapproval. A young intern snickered and whispered to his colleague. Thomas felt their judgment pierce deeper than words. Then, just as he turned to pick up his folder and leave, a voice rang out, calm, commanding, and clear. Is there a problem here? Everyone turned. The woman who approached wore a gray pantsuit tailored to perfection. Her heels clicked across the marble floor like punctuation marks to her power. Her eyes were sharp, her posture even sharper. The guard straightened slightly. This man doesn't have ID. Says he has an appointment. She stopped next to Thomas. What's your name? Thomas. Thomas Reed. Her expression changed just slightly, almost imperceptibly, but it was there. You're with me, she said. Thomas blinked. I am. She turned to the guard. Mr. Reed has an appointment with Devlin and Chase. With me. You just attempted to throw out one of our most important clients. The guard paled. Ma'am, he didn't look like someone who belongs here, she said, her voice soft but lethal. Like a man who matters? Like someone who could own more truth than half the suits on your clipboard. Silence. I'll be sure to note your conduct in today's report. The woman turned to Thomas and smiled, a gentle contrast to her earlier tone. Shall we? Still stunned, Thomas nodded and followed her into the elevator. As the doors closed, she looked at him and said, You probably don't remember me, do you? He squinted. I don't think so. 10 years ago, rainy night. I was a law student eating from a vending machine at that old 24-hour diner on 8th Avenue. You were the janitor. Thomas blinked. You paid for my meal, she continued. I didn't even ask. You just said, stormy nights shouldn't mean hungry bellies, and handed the waitress a crumpled $10 bill. Thomas's eyes widened. I never forgot that night, she said. And when your name came across my desk, I didn't hesitate. What name? He asked, confused. Your father's case, she replied. The land dispute. You submitted it last month. I knew I had to take it. I've seen injustice wear expensive suits and smile into cameras. But your file, it screamed truth. Thomas clutched the folder closer to his chest. You're really taking it? She smiled. I already have. Thomas never imagined he'd sit across a boardroom table with someone like Sarah Hart. Senior partner, Devlin and Chase, feared in court and admired everywhere else. But there he was, sipping filtered water from a glass that cost more than his entire lunch. Sarah laid the file open. Photographs, deeds, letters, handwritten notes from Thomas's father, who had passed away fighting to keep their farmland from being swallowed by a corporate monster. "We'll hit them where it hurts," Sarah said. "Not just in court, but in the press. This will be public. And messy. Are you ready for that?" Thomas hesitated. He thought of his daughter, his father, the quiet dignity that ran through his blood. "Yes," he said. The courtroom wasn't just a room, it was an arena. The corporation's lawyers came in tailored suits and cold smiles. But Sarah Hart was a storm. She tore through contracts like paper. She exposed forged signatures, traced shady shell companies, and even got a key executive to admit on the record that their land expansion program had never filed environmental clearances. And Thomas, he stood, nervous but proud. He told the judge about his father. The nights they slept on wooden floors after the power company cut their lines. The crops lost. The neighbors pushed out one by one. The courtroom fell silent as he said, "We never wanted more than what was ours. We just didn't want to be erased." And then the judge ruled in favor of Thomas Reed. The courtroom erupted. Sarah squeezed his hand. "You did it," he whispered. "No," she said. "We did." 3 months later, Thomas walked into the same lobby. Only this time, he wore a fitted blazer and walked with ease. The security guard spotted him and quickly stepped aside. "Mr. Reed," he said. "Good morning." Thomas gave a gentle nod. At the elevator, Sarah was waiting, smiling. She held a new folder, a new case. "You sure you're ready for this?" she asked. Thomas smiled. "Helping people? Speaking for the unheard? I've been ready my whole life." Together, they rode up. As the elevator doors closed behind them, the guard looked down at his clipboard, not in authority, but in quiet reflection. Because the man he had once tried to turn away was now a symbol, a reminder that greatness doesn't always wear silk ties, and that true power walks softly but leaves lasting footprints. Some men wear badges, others wear titles. But the ones who truly guard justice? They carry kindness, memory, and quiet dignity. Thomas Reed wasn't just a man with a folder. He was a man with a story. And thanks to one lawyer who remembered, his story was finally heard.